last month's minutes.
Izard County Quorum Court met in regular session on Monday, September the 9th, at 5 p.m. with Justices Sanders, Hatman, Mosier, Miller, Thornton, Cone, Cooper, and Emmons present. The minutes of the August meeting were approved on a motion by Justice Miller and seconded by Justice Mosier, with all in favor. Ordinance number 2024-17 was tabled once again on a motion by Justice Emmons and seconded by Justice Mosier, with all in favor. Resolution number 2024-20, a resolution authorizing the submittal of an application for ACEDP grant funds to the state of Arkansas, was passed on a motion by Justice Miller and seconded by Justice Hatman, with all in favor. Resolution 2024-21, a resolution authorizing the county judge and county clerk of Izard County, Arkansas, to enter into an administrative agreement with the White River Planning and Development District, was approved on a motion by Justice Miller and seconded by Justice Thornton, with all in favor. Resolution number 2024-22, a resolution naming the new bridge being built on Highway 56 over Piney Creek, 44 Bridge, was approved on a motion by Justice Sanders and seconded by Justice Mosier, with all in favor. Judge Smith delivered the August road report, and with no other business, the court adjourned at 6:42 p.m. on a motion by Justice Miller and seconded by Justice Cone.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Got a motion, do I hear a second?
I second.
Hatton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say likewise. Comments from the audience. Judge, you want to?
Yes, thank you.
Why don't you go first?
Thank you very much. Good evening, I'm Sandy Taylor, I'm District Judge in Independence County, and I've got, Mr. Cypress coming up to make a copy of, the budget for the last 3 years. I think there's a copy here. I do have a special request for y'all tonight. But before I get to that, let me kind of tell you who I am. I've been district judge in Independence County for the past 20 years. I've been in December for 20 years. Beginning next year for 21 years. I do have a long history with Izard County. When I was a kid, my dad brought me up here to Mount Pleasant and various other places bird hunting when I was a young boy. So I've got a long, rich history with Izard County. Beginning in January, the legislature has changed up the districts, and I will be taking over Independence County, Izard County, Fulton County. Will be now a 3-county district. And Judge Miller, I believe, is retiring. He's not running again, nor is Judge Cassidy up in Fulton County. So I will be covering all 3 of those counties. Brad has my calendar, and if any of y'all need that, I'll be glad to get it for you. What I'm here tonight to request is that one of the clerks at the court is retiring in December, and what I would ask you to do is to allow us a little bit of an overlap, a 2 week. I prefer 4 weeks, but I'd take 2 weeks in December for them to hire somebody to get that person trained before Sue retires in January. If I understand it correctly, there's a current vacancy in the CS worker, so that should be the funds that could cover that. And then hopefully, the judge was asking me about a CS worker beginning next year. We are looking at some options on that. My community service people are kind of giving some ideas, and we'll be glad to come up at some point and tell you how our community service project works and that kind of stuff. So with that, I'll be glad to open it up to any questions. Anybody have any questions?
So there's enough money already in the budget itself in a different line item?
I'm not sure about the amounts. That would be a question, I guess, for the treasurer. Brad, do you know?
I know Warren might be able to help us with that.
Give me a couple seconds.
Thank
We
you.
can discuss it in,
Yeah, I mean,
budget meeting here.
But what you're needing is enough money to pay someone for the rest of the year, correct?
Well,
For
yes,
December, the month of December to replace
Yes,
Sue, so that you're gonna have an extra
yes,
employee.
that's right, so Sue can get that person trained. She or he would start in January, yes, sir.
I'd suggest a month, due to the fact that holidays, during part of that time, I think that'd be
If there's money within the budget, is that something that we need to approve, or is that something he can go ahead and do without?
he can go ahead and do that if, it's already in the budget. If not, probably need a resolution from you,
Okay.
kind of a promise that, yeah, we'll
We'll
cover
pay
that
it,
for
okay.
money.
I mean, I'd be willing to pay it regardless if there is or isn't, to cover someone, I mean, I'm not, but I was just wondering if there was nothing.
And to fill you in on that a little bit too,
I'll pull that, I think our community service has been down, so I think there's probably some money in there.
Enough money to
But
cover.
I'll get y'all a report on that.
so their salary's gonna change this year, so that budget is gonna decrease, after the first year. So his salary will be split between the three counties. Independence County's gonna take the bulk of it, at 59% of it. Izard County will do 22% of it, and Fulton County is 19%. And we'll have to get an agreement together between the counties, and then we'll have to bring the cities into it, cause right now I think Melbourne's paying part of that and Horseshoe, so we'll have to get with the mayors on that, to help us with that 22%, so.
Yes, these three numbers that you see at the bottom of the sheet that I gave to you, if you look down at the lower right column, that's the salaries of the judge and the two clerks there. That number shown for the judge, is gonna change based on the form that Judge Smith has mentioned. It'll probably go down,
Yes, yeah.
so that will free up some money too. But that won't start until January.
Till January, yeah.
Any other questions?
We'll look at that budget and I'll give you a call, Brad, give you a call and let you know this week.
Okay, thank you
You're
very much.
looking for
And by the way,
somebody.
let me mention something else. For about the past, well, since 2022, I believe it is, I've been covering, felony drug court for Judge McSpadden up here. So I've been coming up to Melbourne as judge for going on 3 years now. Every 2 weeks. I was here today. Brad mentioned on the meeting tonight, so I thought I would come. And I appreciate y'all hearing me too. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your service to the county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Next thing on the agenda is our election ordinance. Joe, you wanna read that one more time?
Hopefully. An ordinance to establish Izard County policy for the compensation of Izard County Board of Election Commissioners and Izard County poll workers. Section 1. Election commissioners and poll workers generally. Eligibility of any compensation to the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners and Izard County poll workers not specifically declared in the ensuing section shall be determined in accordance with the reimbursement rules and guidelines established by the State Board of Election Commissioners. Section 2. Number 1, poll workers shall be paid in accordance with Izard County Ordinance 2022-20. Section 3. Number 1, in an election cycle, each member of the County Board of Election Commissioners shall receive for his or her services the sum of $125 per meeting when official business is conducted, up to the total of 10 meetings per election type. Number 2, for each meeting over the number of meetings per election type under subdivision 1 of this section, each member of the County Board of Election Commissioners shall receive for his or her services the sum of $25. Number 3, eligibility compensation for the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners to attend the mandatory training conducted by the State Board of Election Commissioners prior to a regular scheduled preferential primary election is set at $300. Mileage will be reimbursed to attend mandatory training in accordance with the Izard County travel policy. Section 4, number 1, each member of the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners shall receive compensation in an amount of $15 per hour worked outside of a public meeting, subject to the following limitations. A member of a County Board of Election Commissioners shall be paid for work conducted outside of the meeting for up to 40 hours per election. Or B, the Quorum Court may set the amount of hours a member of a County Board of Election Commissioners may be paid between 0 hours and 40 hours per election if a county employee has been made available to act as an election coordinator, subject to the requirement that the employee comply with directives of the County Board of Election Commissioners in matters related to an election. And the county employee has been accepted as an election coordinator by a vote of the County Board of Election Commissioners. Number two, each member of a County Board of Election Commissioners shall file a claim with the county documenting tasks completed by the member and the time required to complete those tasks in order to receive hourly compensation. Number three, a member of a County Board of Election Commissioners shall not be paid hourly compensation for tasks completed, A, more than 100 days prior to the election day, or B, more than 40 days after election day. Section 5. The person designated by the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners to deliver election material to the poll workers for each polling site, and the poll workers designated to return election material to the courthouse after closing the polls on election night will be reimbursed in accordance with the Izard County travel policy. Section 6. It is found by this court that it is necessary to bring election officials compensation in compliance with Arkansas law. This court finds that this is a public emergency affecting life, health, safety, and the property of people. An emergency is declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from the date of passage and approval. Definitions. Election cycle, to reference the applicable time period in which elections occur. Election types. Number one, primary election is the election that political parties use to select candidates for a general election. Number two, runoff election, an additional election that is held because an earlier one did not result in a winner. General election is an election in which candidates who won either primary or a runoff election are elected to office. Special election is an election that takes place outside of the regular election cycle. School board election is an election where school board officers are elected by citizens residing in a school district.
Joe, what was the ordinance number on that?
2024-17.
I hear a motion to approve the ordinance as read. Comments?
I'm gonna make a comment, then I'll make a motion to do that. I do appreciate them getting back with us on this expenses, what it's gonna cost for the next election, which is a lot less than what they originally said. You know, we were talking about it being double, or, you know, being the same as the last one. Well, this is quite a bit less. Anyway, I think it's still gonna make them a little bit out of budget, but that's a lot closer than it was.
Yes.
Anyway, I do appreciate whoever got that done. Now, I do have a problem with paying people more money when they're out of budget. But according to Brad, that's the law and that's what we gotta do. So, for that reason, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the ordinance as read.
Motion, do I hear a second? I second. Second. Roll call vote.
Justice Sanders.
No.
Justice Hatton.
Yes.
Justice Sherrill.
No.
Justice Mosier.
No.
Justice Miller.
Yes.
Justice Thornton.
Yes.
Justice Combs.
Yes.
Justice Cooper.
No.
Justice Emmons.
No. Ordinance failed.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 no's, 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses.
Move on. All right, next, under new business. And I left that, memorial that, Mark Whitmore is a lawyer down at, association, kind of tells you the reason why we're doing this. And I'm not gonna ask y'all to pass this tonight, except, a title only next time if you agree to it. That way, y'all can go over to, I do have listed all of our roads that we're maintaining at this point. These are our roads, so I want y'all to look over them, if you think we missed one, or got one on there that we don't need to have on there, let me know, and we'll make a change to it if I have to. Alright.
Ordinance number 2024-23. Being enacted by the Quorum Court of Izard County, Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an emergency ordinance for the protection of the traveling public, condition and maintenance of the county-maintained public roads in Izard County and within its unincorporated limits, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Whereas Izard County, Arkansas, has over 500 miles of county-maintained public roads. Whereas the Quorum Court finds that the public interest is served by protecting the county-maintained public roads and ability of the county road crews to be able to maintain the county-maintained public roads in the county. Whereas it is necessary to adopt this ordinance to assure the county road crews are able to maintain the right-of-way, public road easement, roadway, subgrade, culverts, and signage for those county-maintained public roads. Whereas the Quorum Court finds that public safety and public interest is served by protecting the traveling public from the placement, creation, or existence of physical and functional encroachments or obstructions to county-maintained public roads. Therefore, be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Izard County, Arkansas, Article 1, Purpose and Applicability. The road easement or right-of-way for county-maintained public roads in Izard County, Arkansas shall be involved for county road purpose, free from the existence of functional and physical encroachments or obstructions, except where written permission is granted and issued by the county judge. Article 2, county-maintained public roads. For purpose of this ordinance, county-maintained public road shall mean any road identified as county road, assigned a county road number or name, and maintained by the county, or any road in which the county has directed construction, material, blading or grading, maintenance, mowing or repairs of the road, roadway, or right-of-way, road easement, or bridges. Attached are current maintained public roads as of the passage of this ordinance. Article 3. It shall be unlawful in a violation of this ordinance for any reason, for any person, persons, or organization to engage in the following activities on county-maintained public roads. 2. Create a physical or functional encroachment within the road easement or right-of-way for a county-maintained public road. Throw, dump, or place any item or items onto a county-maintained public road, including but not limited to the county roadway or road beds, shoulder, ditch, subgrade, right-of-way, easement, back slope of the ditch of any county-maintained public road in the unincorporated areas of the county. Dig or place or situate any utilities, poles, lines, fences, cables, wires, or any item whatsoever within the easement of right-of-way of a county-maintained public roads without first obtaining the written consent of the county judge and comply with utility accommodation permit requirements of the county. Any items, fences, gates, whether closed, locked, or unlocked, obstacles, physical or functional encroachments within the road easement or right-of-way of a county-maintained public road shall be moved by or at the expense of the owner of the property. Burn anything within the road easement or right-of-way of a county-maintained public road without the permission of the county judge. Create a physical or functional encroachment by the diversion or placement of water onto the roadway, subgrade, right-of-way, or road easement, or to create an impairment to public safety of the ability of the county to maintain the subject county road, or park a motor vehicle, trailer, camper, mobile home, equipment, or item within the roadway, road easement, or right-of-way of a county-maintained public road, except during an emergency due to malfunction, in which case the property shall be immediately removed from the roadway or driving surface to assure the safety of the traveling public. In no event shall the property remain parked on the shoulder of the roadway for over 48 hours. Article 4, penalties and remedies. Violation of this ordinance shall result in the fine of $1,000 for a specified offense or violation, or double that sum for repetition of the offense or violation. And B, if the act or violation is in its nature continuous in respect to time, the fine for allowing the continuance of the prohibited unlawful act or omission in violation of the ordinance shall be $500 a day for each day that the violation is unlawfully continued. C, any items, fences, gates, whether closed, locked, or unlocked, obstacles, physical or functional encroachments within the roadway, road easement of right-of-way shall be moved by or at the expense of the owner of the property. D, the county may exercise self-help and remove any items, fences, gates, whether closed, locked, or unlocked, obstacles, physical or functional encroachments within the roadway, road easements or right-of-way of a county-maintained public road, which shall be reimbursed for the cost of removal. E, the citizens or landowner with standing and or county judge may pursue a declaratory and or injunctive relief from a court of competent jurisdiction for removal of an obstruction to county-maintained public road, or Arkansas Code 571-214 provides that a person commits the criminal offense of obstructing a highway or public passage if having no legal privilege to do so and acting alone or with another person, he or she renders any highway or other public passage impassable to pedestrian or vehicular traffic. Arkansas Code 571-214C further describes that the criminal penalty for obstructing a highway and other public passage is a Class A misdemeanor. The county judge, any citizen or landowner, may notify the sheriff of the violation. The criminal penalties under Arkansas Code 571-214 are not in lieu of the civil penalties prescribed by this ordinance, but in addition thereto. Servability. If any provision of this ordinance is found to be invalid by the decision of any court of competent jurisdiction, such invalidity shall not affect the remaining sections, phrases, and provisions of this ordinance which remain valid and enforceable. Emergency clause. The Quorum Court finds the immediate implementation of this ordinance is necessary for the preservation of the public's peace, health, safety, welfare, and property. An emergency is hereby declared to exist, and that this ordinance is to be in effect immediately after this adoption.
You said we weren't gonna do that part today.
Nope,
Correct.
all I'm asking is, y'all to, make a motion to read it by title only next reading. And we'll do that next month, that'll give y'all a month to look over it.
I'll make a motion to read it by title only the next meeting.
Second. Motion and second, roll call vote.
Justice Sanders.
Yes.
Justice Hatton.
Yes.
Justice Sherrill.
Yes.
Justice Mosier.
Yes.
Justice Miller.
Yes.
Justice Thornton. Justice Cone.
Yes.
Justice Cooper.
Yes.
Justice Emmons.
Yes.
Like I said, look at all them roads and, especially ones in your territory. Make sure all of them are on there.
If they got a fence right now, they would.
Nope, everything else, I mean, it all grandfathers in. It's when, say, somebody comes in there and dozes their fence line out and then decides to build it right on the road.
What if they're gonna build it right back where it was at?
If they build it back where it's at, they're fine. If they try to build it in closer, or if they try to fence it off, put a gate on it, you can ask the sheriff, we've had some mobile homes, left in the road, for an extended amount of time in some places. Some people's taking bulldozers and tried to move them out of the way. They did, get in trouble over that, so.
Should we add something in there of just about, add something in there, existing fences or existing?
Yeah, I mean, it's known, I mean, everything grandfather can do. Nobody will have to worry about that. This next ordinance is, so when I got dump trucks first of the year, they only had 3 ready. I'd already budgeted for 4, he finally called me the other day, he said, hey, your 4th dump truck's ready. I said, well, gotta do another ordinance. It will not affect my budget, I've already got it budgeted.
Ordinance number 2024-24. An ordinance regarding a lease purchase for the purpose of procuring one new 2024 Mack GR 84F dump truck with 16-yard demolition style dump body. Whereas Izard County desires to enter into that certain lease purchase agreement dated as of October 8th, 2024 by and between Izard County and Cadence Bank and Tri-State Truck Center for the purpose of procuring equipment 2024 Mack GR 84F dump truck with 16-yard demolition style dump body. The lessee desires to designate the obligation evidenced by this agreement as short-term financing obligations, authorizing by Amendment 78 of the Arkansas Constitution Act 1808 of Acts of Arkansas 2001. The obligations evidenced by this agreement, along with all other short-term financing obligations issued by the lessee, equal 5% or less of the assessed value of taxable property located within Izard County as determined by the last tax assessment completed prior to the assurance of the agreement. The lessee desires to designate this agreement as a qualified tax-exempt obligation of the lessee for the purpose of Section 265B. Number 3 of the IRS Code of 1986 as amended. The lessee desires to designate Eric Smith, Judge of Izard County, as authorized signer of the agreement. Now therefore be it resolved by the Izard County Quorum Court, Section 1, that the lessee enter into a lease agreement with Cadence Bank and Tri-State Truck Center for the purpose of procuring equipment 1, a 2024 Mack GR 84F dump truck with a 16-yard demolition style dump body. Section 2, the lessee desires to designate the obligation evidenced by the lease purchase agreement dated as October 8, 2024, by and between the lessee and Cadence Bank and Tri-State Truck Center as short-term financing obligations, authorized by the Amendment 78 of Arkansas Constitution and Act 1808 of the Acts of Arkansas 2001. The obligations evidenced by this agreement, along with all other short-term financing obligations issued by the lessee, equal 5% or less of assessed value of taxable property located within Izard County as determined by the last tax assessment completed prior to the issuance of the agreement. Section 3, that the lessee purchase agreement dated October 8, 2024, by and between the lessee and Cadence Bank and Tri-State Truck Center is designated by the lessee as a qualified tax-exempt obligation for the purpose of Section 65B(3) of the Internal Revenue Code 1986 as amended. Section 4, the lessee designates Eric Smith, Judge of Izard County, as an authorized signer of the lease purchase agreement dated October 8, 2024, by and between Izard County, Arkansas, and Cadence Bank and Tri-State Truck Center. Section 5, if any part of this ordinance shall be held void, such part shall be deemed severable, and and the invalidity of the therefore shall be affect the remaining parts of this ordinance. Section 4, emergency clause. The proper and appropriate use of funds of the county and the acquisition of equipment is of great importance to the health and welfare of its citizens. An emergency is therefore declared, and this ordinance, being necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, and safety, and welfare, shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval.
You know, I got them on a 3-year lease, so when the first 3 that I already got, when they go back, this one will go back too. So it'll be on, so I had 4 again.
What happened to the fourth one? Did we have 4 or,
We did, well, and I kept that old gray one, which I'm fixing to auction that off, because it broke down.
Is that count the one that was wrecked and rebuilding?
Yeah, we've got that one still, and that'll replace the old gray one that we're getting rid of. Then we got the little white one that's pulled around the backhoe and, yeah.
so do you have the money set aside to pay for this, like?
Yeah,
It just now came in, is that what you're
yeah,
telling us? What's the interest rate, you got any idea? This thing? I missed it. Maybe it is.
will not be higher than 6.25.
Will not be higher than.
Because it's going down as we speak,
Right, yeah.
they say, so
Yeah, that's kind of what I know.
by the time it gets here, it should be lower than that. Any other questions?
So that section 4 on emergency clause is section 6. Section 4.
Oh, yeah. Make an amendment to that, make it in section 6. All right, do I hear a motion to accept the ordinance?
I'll make a motion to accept the ordinance.
Motion, second from Rich. Roll call vote?
Justice Sanders?
Yes.
Justice Hatman?
Yes.
Justice Sherrill?
Yes.
Justice Mosier?
Yes.
Justice Miller?
Yes.
Justice Thornton?
Yes.
Justice Cone?
Yes.
Justice Cooper?
Yes.
Justice Emmons?
Yes.
Next ordinance, for the jail.
Ordinance number 2024-25. Being enacted by the Quorum Court of Izard County, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an emergency ordinance authorizing the establishment of an inmate healthcare policy at the Izard County Detention Facility, setting fees and for other purpose. Whereas healthcare costs for prisoners in the Izard County Detention Facility continues to increase. Whereas charging a prisoner a copay for the providing of medical services does not violate the Constitution, provided that necessary medical services are not denied in the event that a prisoner cannot pay. Whereas the Izard County Detention Facility has a medical service program with a contract with White River Health for prisoners that will contain jail health care costs and promote efficient access to health care for Izard County Detention Facility prisoners. Section 1. All prisoners in the Izard County Detention Facility shall be required to pay a $20 copay fee for any prisoner-initiated medical services. Said services include but shall not limit to seeing a doctor, nurse, dentist, etc. A copay of $10 shall be required for all prescription medications the prisoner receives while in the Izard County Detention Facility. Section 2. Izard County Detention Facility has a contracted company for commissary in which the above fee shall be deducted any time a prisoner-initiated healthcare services is requested. Section 3. If a prisoner lacks sufficient funds in his or her commissary account to pay for the above service, said prisoner shall not be denied access to care based on his or her inability to pay or for any other reason. Said prisoner will, however, have an outstanding balance in their commissary account with the Izard County Detention Facility that will be subject to payment at any time said prisoner returns to the Izard County Detention Facility. The Izard County Sheriff will maintain any and all outstanding bills incurred under this ordinance by prisoners in the Izard County Detention Facility. Section 4. When each jail prisoner is delivered to court, the sheriff or sheriff's designee shall provide the prosecuting attorney an invoice for the expenses occurred under this ordinance not covered by the prisoner's commissary account for the day of his or her initial incarceration for the time he or she remained there. So the judge can hear the prisoner's side of the story regarding the imposition of the expenses incurred under this ordinance as an additional element of cost to be assessed as part of the judgment upon conviction, and reduce the assessed amount to judgment. Section 5. Once the collectible expenses have been reduced to judgment, they shall be collected in the same manner as fines and court costs are collected, and the property of the detained shall be subject to the payment of such expenses in accordance with Arkansas Code 1241-505. Section 6. Revenues derived from the additional fines levied under this ordinance shall not offset or reduce funding from other sources for maintenance, operation, and capital expenditures of the Izard County Detention Center. Section 7. Due to the continued increase in cost of the incarceration of prisoners and the reduced monies available to cities and counties for the housing of prisoners, an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effective immediately upon passage.
This will have to be read 3 times. Motion, do I hear a second? Second from Willie. Read by title only. All in favor of,
Who made the motion?
thank you.
And then who seconded it?
Willie. All in favor of reading that by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say like.
Ordinance number 2024-25, being enacted by the Quorum Court of Izard County, the state of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an emergency ordinance authorizing the establishment of an inmate health care policy at the Izard County Detention Facility, setting fees and for other purposes.
Your motion to read by title only for third time. Willie made a motion.
I'll say.
Miller second. All in favor of reading it again by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say like.
Ordinance number 2024-25, being enacted by the Quorum Court of Izard County, state of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an emergency ordinance authorizing the establishment of an inmate health care policy at the Izard County Detention Facility, setting fees and for other purposes.
I hear a motion to accept the ordinance.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Billy Miller. 2, and the roll call vote.
Justice Sanders.
Yes.
Justice Hatman.
Yes.
Justice Sherrill.
Yes.
Justice Moser.
Yes.
Justice Miller.
Yes.
Justice Thornton.
Yes.
Justice Cone.
Yes.
Justice Cooper.
Yes.
Justice Emmons.
Yes.
And I do not have a road update. I got a road comment 6. Got anything else? We wanna,
I'd like to, on this ordinance for the electric commission,
yeah,
I know we gotta pay them $125, but all that other stuff, I don't like it attached to that part of it. That's the reason I voted not to pass.
okay.
I'd like to see that in it by itself, and we'll address the others as they come through.
Brad, what do you think on that?
Just don't think you can pick and choose which part of it you want to use. I think you gotta follow the whole law.
Is that all
Much
that
as
it
you
is?
might
or
disagree with it,
Is that by law, or
State law, yeah,
that whole thing is by state law?
whole thing is state law, yes.
I didn't recognize that part, I mean, it's all state law. You know, we gotta do it if it's all state law. I thought part of it was state law, part of it wasn't.
It's all state law.
You gotta have two early elections each side. Or you
No,
just
that's,
have
No, that's something different.
see,
That's something
that's,
different.
yeah, that's a whole different situation, you know.
This-
I mean, obviously, the election commission's gonna have to have some meetings. And when they do have those meetings, they're gonna have to be paid in accordance with this law that you've been asked to pass and have it tonight. Now, the question becomes, how much are you going to appropriate to the election commission to spend? And that's where the real rub is here tonight. Now, I don't think it's really with the fact that you are gonna have to pay them some, and that when you do pay them that, it's gonna have to be pursuant to the state law that you've been asked to pass. But then the question becomes, well, how much money are you going to give them? Are you gonna just give them unlimited money to spend, or are you gonna set some limits on the election commission and make them stay within a budget? And right now, they've gone, I believe, over budget. And, but to say, well, we're gonna resolve that problem by not passing this ordinance really isn't the solution to the problem. The solution is to not appropriate them any more money, or to tell them you're going to have to spend within your budget. Or perhaps they would come, you know, ideally, they would have done what Judge Taylor did tonight, and when he realizes there may be some more money needed, comes to you first. But I'm gonna stand by my statement that you must pass this. You're just gonna have to. But if you want to tell the election commission, we're only gonna give you a certain amount of money, you're gonna have to figure out how to do Izard County elections within that amount of money, then you can do that.
But that will be in the next year and the years after that.
No, I mean, it's my understanding that they've already gone over budget, is that right,
Yeah.
Mr. Treasurer?
I think they got 19,000 left to get through the general. I'm not sure what their expenses, I didn't see that sheet. What
This
is
bill
it?
right here shows a little over $30,000. So they're gonna be 10 or 11 if they follow this, and there's
We
not any.
spent 90,000 in a general, or in a primary, and they can do a general for 30?
What it says.
I don't buy that. Sorry.
Well, it's just like when y'all asked me about the county judge, if you don't like the way they're spending the money, or Judge Taylor, or me, or clerk, or assessor, or Warren, don't give them the money.
Any way to go back on that?
I'd like to go back. If we're gonna have to pass this, I didn't know it was all law. I thought that was the biggest thing I was asking for. You know, I didn't realize that, you know, you had to pass every bit of that, what they was putting on there. But we're just gonna have to make the rules and regulations for this a little stricter the next time.
Yeah, I think that's right. I agree. I think since it failed, I think it'd need to be, somebody could make a motion, but I think it'd have to be read 3 times.
But, would we have, since it's been read 30 times already, do we have to read it 3 times again, or can we do it by title only?
Well, there's much debate around this. I'd suggest reading it 3 times. One time reading it, and then by title only 2 times.
Sorry, Mr. Cooper.
Well, you was only one of the no votes. There
Yeah,
was-
that's,
I mean, if it's state law, I was like, I think I misunderstood.
Brad, on that state law of $125, is that mandatory this year? Can that be held, and we can hold the funds till next year?
It's mandatory this year. In fact, I believe it goes back to last year. I think.
August of 23.
So August, I'm pretty sure it goes back to 2023. If you say August,
But I don't think there was any, they didn't have any
Sound
meetings
right.
after August, just this year, is all, I believe, is all we'll have to.
in other words, you've
reimburse
been out of compliance since August of 2023, but it didn't really become relevant until 2024, the first election cycle in 2024.
Which they didn't realize themselves until they brought it to us that that was the case.
Well,
They
yeah,
had
right.
something for reimbursement, they didn't realize it themselves, and there was, instead of
Well, yeah,
$100, it was
right.
$125. You know, and holy smokes, over $25 isn't worth. You know, but we do have to get our budget under control, which we're gonna have a budget meeting here at, well, and that's something that we gotta work on, because we all have budgets and we gotta stay within them. Yeah, I mean, everyone else, as far as I know in the county, is within budget. You know, so we've gotta have some rules that we're gonna stay within budget. And I don't wanna deprive anyone from voting ever. I fought to keep Ruthie Mountain open, I fought to keep them all open, that. But I don't think paying someone an extra $25 makes it a more fair election. It shouldn't. I mean, if we have to pay extra to have a fair election, that's a problem when we're getting down to, we gotta come up with more money to make it, the individuals running it to make it fair. You know what I'm saying? That's where I struggle a little bit. But this has to be done, and I think we should do it. And I think we should pay them. I mean, that's their job, and they do their job, and we've gotta do it.
So doing all these early voting with other sites makes it fair?
Oh, I don't know that it makes it fair. I just, no.
No.
No, I don't think so. No, I didn't say that. What I said was that keeping all the sites open like we always have is fair. Adding more, I don't know if that, I mean, I think a week at each location even, but you gotta have 2 weeks at one, I think. I don't know. I think that's where we struggle, is that we started opening places that cost us $6,000 or whatever to open them extra, you know, which I agree that we may have to get a handle on that somehow. I mean,
We're
because.
gonna have to, if we budget on what, we budget 55,000-ish, something like that, instead of 119,000, that's substantial over budget.
Yeah, but this year I think we find, 109 or 10?
We budgeted 110.
110, and they spent 90 something right now, and they're gonna be, and if they keep within 30, they're gonna end up being $10,000-15,000 over budget.
You got
We're doing
Independence County with 137,000 people, and they're half of it.
It's not.
So, I mean, this is two
Denied
issues,
it.
though, that really has nothing to do with
Issue,
this,
and then
so
completely.
they're gonna have to get a handle on that.
Well, do I have a motion to, bring this ordinance back on the table? So we're gonna have to make that motion so we can read it again, right?
I'll make a motion to bring it back on the table.
Motion, do I hear a second? Bring it back up.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say likewise. Joe, you should know that ordinance by heart by now.
We all should. Ordinance number 2024-17. An ordinance establishing Izard County policy for the compensation of Izard County Board of Election Commissioners and Izard County poll workers. Section 1, election commissioners and poll workers generally. Eligibility of any compensation to the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners and Izard County poll workers not specifically declared in the ensuing section shall be determined in accordance with the reimbursement rules and guidelines established by the State Board of Election Commissioners. Section 2, poll worker compensation. Poll workers shall be paid in accordance with Izard County Ordinance 2022-20. Section 3, election commissioner public meeting reimbursement. Number 1, in an election cycle, each member of the County Board of Election Commissioners shall receive for his or her services the sum of $125 for public meetings when official business is conducted, up to a total of 10 meetings for election type. Number 2, for each meeting over the number of meetings for election type under subdivision 1 of this section, each member of the County Board of Election Commissioners shall receive for his or her services the sum of $25. Number 3, eligibility compensation for the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners to attend the mandatory training conducted by the State Board of Election Commissioners prior to a regularly scheduled preferential primary election is set at $300. Mileage will be reimbursed to attend mandatory training in accordance with Izard County travel policy. Section 4, election commissioners' hourly compensation. Number 1, each member of the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners shall receive compensation in an amount of $15 per hour worked outside of a public meeting, subject to the following limitations. A member of a County Board of Election Commissioners shall be paid for work conducted outside of a meeting up to 40 hours per election, or the Quorum Court may set the amount of hours a member of a County Board of Election Commissioners may be paid between 0 hours and 40 hours per election if a county employee has been made available to act as an elected election coordinator, subject to the requirement that the employee comply with directives of the County Board of Election Commissioners in matters related to an election, and the county employee has been accepted as an election coordinator by a vote of the County Board of Election Commissioners. Number 2, each member of a County Board of Election Commissioners shall file a claim with the county documenting tasks completed by the member and the time required to complete those tasks in order to receive hourly compensation. Number 3, a member of a County Board of Election Commissioners shall not be paid hourly compensation for tasks completed, A, more than 100 days prior to election day, or B, more than 40 days after election day. Section 5, mileage and reimbursement. The person designated by the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners to deliver election material to the poll workers for each polling site, and poll workers designated to return election materials to the courthouse after closing the polls on election night will be reimbursed in accordance with the Izard County travel policy. Section 6, emergency clause. It is found by this court that it is necessary to bring election officials compensation in compliance with Arkansas law. This court finds that this is a public emergency affecting life, health, safety, and the property of the people. An emergency is declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from the date of passage and approval. Definitions. Primary election. Okay, thank you.
We need a motion to suspend the rules and read it by title only.
Yes,
I wanna
sir.
make a motion that we suspend the rules and we read it by title only. Second that.
Motion is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say likewise.
Justice.
Miller and
J.D. made the motion. Who seconded it? I'm sorry. Bear with me.
Unless you just wanna read it, I mean.
No.
it's-
I'm not sure I heard it. Okay.
All right, title only.
Roll call.
Already done. Everybody said yes.
An ordinance establishing Izard County policy for the compensation of Izard County Board of Election Commissioners and Izard County poll workers.
I hear a motion to read by
I'm
title
gonna
only.
make a motion that we read it by title only.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say likewise.
An ordinance establishing Izard County policy for the compensation of the Izard County Board of Election Commissioners and Izard County poll workers.
We don't need to read it by title
Need
only.
a,
I wanna make a
motion
motion
to
that
approve the
we
ordinance.
accept the ordinance as read.
A motion, I hear a second. Any, hey, roll call vote.
Justice
Don't
Sanders.
we need to discuss this first?
No.
Justice Sanders.
I'll tell you what, since the state law, I will say yes, but we're gonna discuss some expenses here.
Hatton.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Justice Hatton. Justice Sherrill.
Yes.
Justice Mosier.
Yes.
Justice Miller.
Yes.
Justice Thornton.
Yes.
Justice Cone.
Yes.
Justice
Motion carried. Alright. Do I hear,
I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn.
got a motion, do I hear a second? Second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say likewise. Yes, we're gonna have a budget meeting to discuss some of our revenues, so you're welcome to stay or we're good.
I mean, I can go first.